they're not really fun, but you just can't get into it because they would never understand.
And we are back for more Minecraft. So more fish collection, and more fish. More. What the fuck did you say? Fish. I mean, it's collection, collecting, fish collecting, fish collected for the collection. How many do we have now? We have 1,562. 2,000. No, 2,700, not 2,007. Yes. So we have collected 1,562. How many do we have in inventory? Place no here. Okay, so 24. 24. How many usually 40? So I could maybe get over 1,600 today. Probably not. Probably will be tomorrow. But yeah, it's time to just continue the fish collection. No. So lucky wasn't we to get one more fish for the collection in the start. At least we get an at least we can get a drowned zombie. I think it's so much time. Okay, whilst we're waiting for that, I can let's see. The race have done a video. Done Foundation, fuck me. Have also a video. What more? Yeah, some stuff in the car happened. But let's see, where the fuck is... Here we have it. And the race have done the surprise fight saving F1 2024. And I mean saving. I mean seeing other people winning in Formula 1, you can say, make it more interesting. But in hindsight, it would probably just be maybe some more races, but most likely maybe not. So when people say it's the fight is on, or the Formula 1, oh, there we have it. The first fish for today. Dash a purple orange for the collection. Now it will still be a Red Bull domination in most of the races. And like it will probably happen even like the next season also. There's some races Red Bull will be really bad, but most likely will they be good. And Max Verstappen can soon, when we get past Lewis Hamilton in wins. Let's see, can I get one more? Then we can maybe start watching the race. Or more listen. One more fish for the collection. Can we get it? Let's see. It should be Wednesday. Yeah, Wednesday. So it's 2 more days. Let's see. It start of Wednesday. So yeah, 2 days. Or more than 2 days. 2 days and how much hours we need to wait until the practice in Formula 1 starts. And then we can clearly see how bad Mercedes will be, or how good Red Bull will be. Where will McLaren and Ferrari be? Will Visa, Cash App, RB Formula 1 team still be up there? Will Alpines continue getting some points? Will Williams finally get some more points? Will Haas hopefully not get any points? And will the Stake F1 team kick Saber just doing nothing? Yeah, Aston Martin. Could they continue their getting points, or will they be slightly bad still? Also, one more fish for the collection. Yeah, let's start the race. Let's see what their opinion on the. Let's see, what do they have? Assessing Red Bull's downgrade. Also, still funny that Christian said their ground grade still won against Lewis Hamilton, eller Mercedes. Is McLaren genuine threat in some races? Yes. Is real test of Ferrari progress? I mean, that last race you can't talk like they're going down. It's like Mercedes. Are they going up? No. Time to take Mercedes seriously. No! Fucking Copion on fucking Mercedes. No. Mr. Martin fall from grace. I mean, you can say that, but what the fuck do you say about Mercedes then?
Winners over the past
Oh shit. So
4 Grand Prix, and a Mercedes on pole position and back in the mix at last, I think it's fair to say.
I mean, that's so fucking copium. Oh shit, one new. Can this be a new trader? Man, fucking so many new traders in a short time. Yes, I will buy stuff from you. Yes. 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 Sure. Yeah, I think. Oh shit, I need to. Yeah, we can have a slightly problem. Yes, I need to remove stuff. Oh shit, 8. Can I remove 8? I will buy that also so we can remove more emeralds. What can I put there? Okay, you will get put there. That will be placed over there. Here we can put that. Oh, we need to get some food also. And place that down. Oh no, we need to do that also. God damn it. Yes, we need your leads. Oh no, wrong way. Yes, I will take your leads for free. Oh my god. Can I just finally? Did I get the second lead? There we have it. And then we place that in that, and then we place the leads there. And now we pick the stuff up. Thank you for more leads. No, come on, dolphin. Give me. I wanna swim fast. Nope. Oh, there. Look like. Yeah, one more fish for the collection. Nice. And I need to remove the stuff in the inventory. Okay, let's continue.
No one expected that at the start of F1 2024.
No, and will this be the last pole position? Yes. I'm not like... act like this is something. No, it's not. I mean, Kevin Magnussen got pole position in the sprint race.
So is F1 now an open fight at the front? What can we expect from the
Not because fucking Mercedes, because Ferrari and McLaren.
next race?
Certainly an open fight in terms of who we can expect to be in the mix on any given weekend. Red Bull and Max Verstappen still runaway favourites for the championship, I would say. But obviously this question of the pack closing, competitiveness is all a relative game, and Red Bull has struggled a bit more to exert its dominance in the same way. But it's been a strange set of races. Imola they did win. Miami before that they should have won but didn't. Monaco should have been second or third. Obviously Verstappen made a mistake in Q3, so that went wrong, and then they did win last time out in Canada. So 50% win rate still from Red Bull, should have been 75%, and they struggled on the great outlier that was Monaco. So a strange set of races. Red Bull certainly under more pressure, but we're about to go to a run of much more conventional circuits where I think the picture will be a little bit more stable, shall we say.
And Barcelona as the next race is the sort of ultimate embodiment of that. It's the classic car prover.
So we will finally see how bad Mercedes actually is. No more copium can be happening. Let's yeah, put down that, and then we take up some food. We need food and get stuff removed from our inventory. Oh, I should put down the stuff first. Yeah, I really Mercedes will be really bad in Spain. You know, what the fuck will people that are coping so much that Mercedes is good? What would they do if Mercedes is bad again?
It's a track that the teams know so well historically, but it's just the layout of it, and especially now we've got rid of that horrible final chicane and we're back on the classic layout. It just it lets a car that's strong aerodynamically flex its muscles. So it's always seen as whether a team has something to prove or is, you know, just starting to kind of show itself a little bit. It's a great acid test of actually what the situation is in reality, and I think that's what we'll see with Red Bull. I think they've been, as Ed was explaining,
what we will see with Mercedes, will we also see the same with that they are maybe actually bad?
explaining, you know, battling different circumstances. They've gone through quite a tough run, very possibly the toughest run of the season in terms of the types of circuits and then also the circumstances around the races. It would be difficult to imagine sort of a set of 3 or 4 events that would test Red Bull the way the most recent one has. But then we go to a circuit that should bring it right back to its absolute very best. So I think we're going to see in reality whether or not the car is still as strong as it's been, even since it
And we will see how bad Mercedes finally is.
obviously had its big upgrade at Imola, or whether Mercedes' theory is correct and that car has accidentally been downgraded.
Well, yeah, this was James Allison, the Mercedes technical director, joked in Canada that the upgrade for Red Bull looks like a downgrade. I say joked. It was said with a little bit of mischievousness, shall we say.
He wanted it to be true.
And he loves a wind-up too, doesn't he? He loves a wind-up at the moment.
Exactly, yeah. But I think he'll have been emboldened as well by the fact he knew that the Mercedes progress was going to be proved to be real that weekend. So ultimately, Red Bull, their car has improved with recent upgrades, but it's all relative, isn't it? If you improve at a slower rate than others, then you do look like you get worse. It's all relative. And I think Red Bull certainly hasn't had the same development rate as some of its rivals over the past few races. There'll be upgrades again in Spain, but this is a good test of where the real lay of the land is. Barcelona is
Yeah, but I would say more for Mercedes than fucking Red Bull. Man, so much copium. We will finally see how good Red Bull is. I believe more we will see how bad Mercedes is, but okay.
It's a great measure of a car. Big aero test, nice wide range of corner speeds. So this is a great track to really judge where everyone's at.
Yeah, and if Barcelona is going to tell us how much ground Red Bull has lost, it should also tell us how much ground its rivals have made up. McLaren
Yeah, like Mercedes.
probably have had the most impressive development rate of any team over the past 12 months, could have conceivably won 3 of the past 4 Grand Prix, has outscored everybody in that time too. So can we consider them to be a genuine threat to Red Bull at every race now?
I think they're at a point now where they can consistently score podiums. Whether or not they can threaten Red Bull at every race remains to be seen. And you're right, Barcelona is a good test. This is the kind of circuit that McLaren's prodigious development last year with high-speed performance would really excel at. But actually, the others have made good steps in that area. So it will be interesting. If you look at from the point where that McLaren upgrade came in, which was for the Miami weekend, the before and since comparison is pretty stark. You know, they've basically halved their pace deficit on average in well, effectively qualifying. It's gone from around 0.4 of a second to 0.2 of a second. That's not strictly to Red Bull, because Red Bull's not always been the quickest since then. For example, Charles Leclerc and Ferrari in Monaco. But you mentioned it, Ben. They've scored more points than anybody in the last few races. They've been on the podium at every race since that upgrade was introduced. They could have won a third of the season's races by now if circumstances had gone differently. So they've definitely gained. They've gone from that slightly adrift of the top couple of teams in the early part of the season to absolutely being in the mix at the front, consistent podium challengers week in, week out. They're probably best of the rest at the moment, just purely across a wide range of circuits. Maybe every now and again they'll miss that absolute bit of peak performance, but they're right in there, and they just look really well placed to try and profit if Red Bull does slip up.
And those upgrades have yielded a little bit more performance than anticipated. Not so much in terms of the pure measurables of it, but in terms of the lap time gain. Now, initially, Andrea Stella, the team principal, put that down to the various intangibles, driver confidence, that kind of thing. But there does seem to be some kind of technical, probably aero effect going on here, that over the past few races, their understanding of that has evolved. So I think McLaren also think they've almost tripped over discovering something with this as well. They always expected a gain from it, but it's been a bigger all-round gain. It's helped them in low speed, helped them in higher speed too. But the car's becoming a little bit more of an all-rounder. Still weaker on the slower corners, but it's getting there. That's the really important thing for them. So
yeah, will Mercedes also get there?
it can be a threat at more circuits, and we're seeing that reflected in the consistency of late.
Hitta topprankade produkter till priser du kommer älska. Sök efter vad du än behöver på amazon.se idag.
No! Boring at time.
Tele2, obegränsad.
And you might be picking up from this that both Ed and I are kind of caveating where McLaren's at in terms of that ultimate performance, and that's because even McLaren itself doesn't believe it's a Red Bull beater yet. I mentioned it's halved its deficit to the front, but you halve a deficit, that means you still have a deficit. So that's where McLaren's at. On their day of days, they might actually be able to beat Red Bull and any other car over qualifying in one lap. They might be able to win the race and be in a strong position. But across all conditions, all circuit types, all kinds of circumstances that challenge you over a race weekend, McLaren admits it still has a little bit to do. So as we've said, right in the mix, outright absolute Red Bull beater on pure performance, not quite yet. So again, but if they can get close in Barcelona, I think that will say an awful lot about the trajectory that team's on.
But where does Ferrari stand in all of this?
Same.
At the start of the season, they look like clearly being the second best team. They've won a couple of races. After Monaco, they were even being talked up as a potential title threat. And then we go to Canada and they have the absolute horror show of that race. Are they a team we still need to be taking seriously?
Yes.
Should we be concerned after what we saw in Canada?
No.
I think you can pretty much shrug off Canada. Pretty much everything that could go wrong did go wrong there. They got tyre pressures wrong in qualifying. I think the resurfaced track slightly caught them out, couldn't get the tyres in, and just a horrible weekend. No points, just a disaster. But that's not Ferrari's level, nor is Ferrari's level what we saw in Monaco. They were the dominant force in Monaco, but that's a great outlier track, so it worked really well for them. The reality is Ferrari is still strong. They're still a pretty good all-round car, but you go to a track like Barcelona, you will expect them to be about where they were earlier in the season, a few tenths.
Yeah, Red Bull will be on the top, and then we have McLaren and Ferrari fighting each other. And then Mercedes. So whatever progress Mercedes does, they will still be behind Red Bull, McLaren, Ferrari. And so one more fish for the collection, and Sunstreak, purple, brown.
Off, maybe fractionally closer come race pace, but you'd still expect them to be a bit behind Red Bull, at least without some upgrades shuffling the order in that regard. So Ferrari still making good progress, but Fred Vasseur, the team principal, won't let them get carried away, will he, in terms of overreacting to Monaco or overreacting to Canada.
Yeah, Vasseur's, I think, probably the best possible team principal Ferrari could have during this moment that they're in. He kind of steadied the ship last year, and it's been a relatively smooth start to 24, and now they've had the first big setback and probably the first real test of his leadership so far. But he is...
Man, will we also talk about the Toto Wolff's leadership? Like, will they finally make a car that can do anything? Or should Toto Wolff just sell the team?
So middle of the road, as Ed was sort of explaining there. He cares about neither triumph nor disaster, and he's just kind of like, okay, well, even if we're doing well, we need to improve, and if we're doing really badly, it's probably not as bad as it looks, so we just need to focus on where we can improve. So much like every team we've talked about so far, I think Barcelona is a really big test for Ferrari, not so much in how they respond to Canada, but you think back, we talk about, Mercedes.
Yeah, will it be the same for Mercedes? A big test of can they actually be good, or will they 100% be bad?
Joking that the Red Bulls had a downgrade. The Ferrari had that big upgrade at Imola, and slightly underwhelmed over the rest of the weekend, purely based on the hype that was over that upgrade and development into the weekend. Still a good enough weekend, but not good enough against Red Bull and McLaren. Then they go to Monaco, which is an outlier. Charles Leclerc's on it all weekend, so they dominate. Then they go to Canada, where they're expected to do well and absolutely stink the place up. So now we're going to a conventional circuit that's going to test it. It's really interesting to see where Ferrari shakes out in this. It's one of the reasons why this weekend has a little bit of a kind of most important weekend of the season so far about it, because not for a specific team, but for F1 2024 as a whole, because we have a new pecking order to try to understand.
More fish for the collection.
Well, for Mercedes, it probably is the most important weekend of the season, though. I mean, you mentioned them in your previous answer, Scott. You know, they suddenly in Canada, although we've seen kind of incremental progress, they haven't really looked like being anything other than the fourth best team and maybe a bit distant from the front. And then suddenly they're on pole position, leading a race, slightly different circumstances and execution. They could have conceivably won it. So do we have to start taking Mercedes seriously again in terms of the fight at the front?
Yeah, very much so. The important...
Yeah, fucking copium. No, you don't. Seriously, in what way? Winning races? No. Getting maybe a podium? I'm like, is that fucking being seriously? No.
The thing is, there's reasons for why they've made these steps. The new front wing, much has been said about that in terms of having the more loaded front wing. They are not struggling so much with creating instability at the rear by having the front wing being just too powerful, because it works in ground effect if you just got too much load.
They've ditched the old one, basically, haven't they?
Exactly,
gone to a more conventional one.
Exactly, yeah. You run the risk of sort of pinning the front end, and then by definition that means the balance at the rear. It's a problem, but it's not just that. They've been working with the floor profile, the sort of floor ceiling shape. That's an important thing for Red Bull, where they benefited from. So they're gaining and they're understanding. There's a little bit of apparent flexi wing trickiness in there, not in a negative way. Everyone at the front is doing that. There's got to be some flexibility. Can't be completely rigid no matter what the rules say. So that's fine. That's just what they're doing, even if some rivals may be suspicious about it. There's always that in Formula One, competitive paranoia. But they've made real gains. You could say they should have won in Canada, quite frankly, on pole, on merits. The way the race panned out wasn't perfect for them. And I think we will see Mercedes in pretty good shape.
The problem with them is...
Good shape in what way? They can maybe try to get a podium. I mean, is that good shape in Mercedes' eyes? Or if they don't get any podium, is the car now bad? Like, the fuck is your standard on Mercedes being good?
Is that why you have to you take that Canada performance with a pinch of salt? Is because I've had so many false dawns in the past, and you can look at it as a single event in isolation. If you ignore context and you just look at that one weekend, you go, yeah, but they didn't win for starters. And also, like, we've seen this before, where suddenly the stars align and they have a mega qualifying result and they're up there on the podium, blah blah blah. But all of that stuff Ed outlined is why
fucking Brazil. Why did Russell succeed to win the sprint race? So he got pole for the race and then win the race. Was it because Mercedes was so good? Or was it because it was a sprint race? So Red Bull fucked the car up. Ferrari was in... we can't make our car good. So you have the top teams not be able to even try to be good. Then Mercedes succeeding to make a good car. I'm like, if Mercedes was so good, why the fuck did they start the next season so bad? Also, one more fish for the collection. Stripy blue orange.
This is so significant, because there just seems to be something tangible behind it. There actually does seem to be a foundation for all of this. That progress has been quite boring and chipping away at, in a sense. You know, no big, sexy, massive upgrade like McLaren had last season, for example. But you know,
or Aston Martin from 2022 to 2023.
People misremember that as well, because it wasn't like McLaren came out of nowhere with one upgrade in Austria. They actually had a pretty big upgrade in Baku that sort of set the tone for where they would go. So it took 2 goes at it, really. And that's kind of what you've seen with Mercedes. You know, lay that foundation, layer on a bit of performance, and
One more fish
just
collection,
get there
100%
basically
green.
by just doing good, solid, sort of
Spotty
old-fashioned
green.
development work rather than trying to reinvent the floor or reinvent the wing. So I think it's interesting, but I would say that just because they had that, and just in Montreal, and just because they had good
9
reason
more.
for it, that doesn't mean that they'll go to Barcelona and be fighting for pole, and may not even be on the podium, but that wouldn't necessarily be a disaster.
Yeah, there's reasons to be sceptical about Mercedes simply because of what we've seen over the past few years, but this is different. There's a logic underpinning it. It's not just unlocking magical performance in the
Yeah,
car.
now it's different. Why is that? Because they said so. Okay. 100% real, truth, facts.
It's changes that have a tangible effect. And yeah, you're absolutely right in terms of what to expect. I'd be staggered if Mercedes are setting the pace at Barcelona. They don't need to be. But if they can be a proper, clear step forward in there bothering Ferrari.
Yeah, step forward. Still being behind Ferrari and McLaren. Yeah, this is upgrade.
And McLaren, assuming they're behind
that's
Red
still
Bull,
not
then
an
that's
upgrade.
a big positive step because they'd established themselves as fourth best prior to Monaco. I guess Monaco, they
Fourth. I mean, that's you can say depressing. You mean fourth best? They succeeded to be better than fucking Aston Martin. Is that an upgrade or that's just fucking sad? Maybe you should. Okay, sure.
They were pretty strong as well. But if they can sustain this at regular circuits, that confirms the progress, and that's something to build from. And then it's just about the long, drawn-out battle of development. Can they put performance on the car quicker than the opposition?
Yeah, the key thing there is understanding, isn't it? So many times they've had these false dawns, a foundation that really they haven't been able to build on, and now it finally looks like they've got a proper foundation that they can build on.
So, I really hope they fuck the Spain up so much, so they don't know. Like, did we lie about the car being good, or is the car good and we just fucked up? Oh, Trident. Give me a Trident. One more. Don't hit me. Man, go away from the grass. Or sea grass. Man, you're so fucking disgusting. Can you just go away from the grass? Thank you. Oh no, don't fucking ruin this dolphin. Come on, dolphin, stop giving me this fucking stupid thing. Oh. No Trident. Oh. Stop this fucking stupid. Now you can give me that. No. No new fish for the collection. Yeah, continue this Copian race stuff.
And then it's a case of, well, how quickly can you build on it, and can you build quicker than the teams around you? But one team, maybe there are still massive question marks in that regard. Aston Martin, 12 months ago, regular podium finisher, nearest threat to Red Bull, but...
Well, that's mostly because Ferrari wasn't up there, Mercedes was clearly not up there, and McLaren was doing their own shit.
They're not even in this conversation anymore, so what the hell is going on there?
Yeah, Aston Martin really struggling. They kind of reasserted themselves a little bit in Canada, but they'd sort of slipped to 5th best, maybe even 6th best behind RB prior to that. And I think Barcelona is going to be tough for them without some improvements on the car. Barcelona's been quite important.
No, not more. Man, I remember last year. I don't know what the stats was, but something about Alonso. And that he crashed, drive out, lose control in the qualifying thing, and then, man, his race, qualifying, everything went bad. Hopefully he will have a better Spain race this year.
Important circuit for them the past few years. In 2022, they introduced a pretty major concept change, having realised they got things initially wrong, kind of in the Mercedes direction originally, but that laid the foundations for the 23 car. And then we got to Barcelona last year, and it was the first sign of struggle. And now we get to Barcelona this year, and I suspect what we're going to see is confirmation that they're not quite making the progress they should be.
But Mercedes will see that they have. Yeah,
we talked about
cool
Mercedes demonstrating understanding what they say in public, what they're saying privately, what we're seeing on track. All seems to add up into a consistent picture. With Aston Martin, not so much. They're just not that convincing in what they're saying. And that's fine. You can be unconvincing in what you're saying.
And you're convinced with Mercedes after 3 years of being bad. Yeah, true.
If you're performing, they're not doing either, and that's a concern.
Yeah, it's borderline in decline, but more worryingly, I think it's the fact that it's in stagnation. It's just been in this permanent position now since the middle of last year, where it's sort of 5th or 6th fastest, depending on the circumstances. And
try them.
The most concerning element of it is that when they try to bring in-season upgrades, it just either makes the car trickier to drive, or it just doesn't work at all. It does seem to be the team that is arguably the most sensitive to the way that these cars work and how tricky it is to add that downforce and performance without massively negatively changing the car characteristics. And they talk about trying to give the drivers confidence and having that, making it easier to drive, because then there is performance there that they can get out of it. But it's just a bit, sometimes it just looks a bit weird, and it looks like it saps the confidence from the driver. And all of this means is that this is a team that 12 months ago, when it was having those great early season results, you're looking at that kind of trajectory and the plan that they laid out back in whatever it was, 2021 for Aston Martin, and you think, yeah, why can't this team win races and start winning regularly by 25, which was the stated objective? They look so far from doing that in 25. So yeah, I don't...
Maybe... Oh, get a bit. Maybe Lawrence Stroll should waste more money on Stroll.
I don't think this is an important weekend for that team insofar of proving anything, but it's what it does between now and the end of the year. It has to pull some kind of better trajectory out of the bag. Otherwise, I think it's a team that is it's failing against its original plan, and it's only going to come under more pressure.
The positive for them is they're still not too far behind, so if they can make a bit of a breakthrough, they can push back into that pack ahead. But that also tells you what we've got here is convergence, ultimately. Red Bull still seems to have the best all-round package, but there's 3 teams pretty close behind, and it wouldn't take too much for Aston Martin and RB to get into that group, to be quite honest. So we're at a point where if you're Red Bull, there's 3 teams that are close, and they've got their own strengths and weaknesses.
Red Bull have 2 teams that are close, like I have said before. Red Bull is Team A, eller Group A. And one more fish for the collection. Lime Grey Snooper. Ferrari McLaren is Group B. Mercedes is Group C. Aston Martin Group D. Then we have Visa Cash Up RB Formula 1 team Group C. No, Group C, fucking D. No. A, B, C, D, E. And then we have the rest in F.
So on any given weekend, if you're not executing at your best, one of those is probably going to be at least bothering you, if not ahead. And that's what makes the rest of the season so interesting. Even if Barcelona is a Red Bull victory, and if I had to put money on it right now, I'd say it would be. The others
will Mercedes have a podium? Can you...
It's close, and it's going to set the course for a pretty interesting rest of the season, even, I think, on these more conventional tracks.
No. At least not for Mercedes. Okay, that was the race. Man, kopian om att Lewis Hamilton. Fuck Mercedes. Like, I really hoped Mercedes will have a really bad race. I mean, what do people say then? Like, did I hear something? I know it would be so funny. If we have people that saying that, oh, Mercedes are back now. One more fish for the collection. Stripy Magenta light grey. And then they are bad again. All this talk that, oh, I believe in them. They're not lying when they're saying they're back now. One more fish for the collection, and there's a black grey. Yeah, let's see, what do we have now? Yeah, I wanna see, you can say this is somewhat part of Formula 1. Let's see, can we find it? From David Land. McLaren drama, Pusher out Siegel in. I wanna know, like, the fuck have happened? Why is Pusher out? What did they do? What didn't they do to deserve not being in the IndyCar? What will Pusher be doing now? Trying to be back in Formula 1 or something?
Major breaking news.
Oh shit.
Teo Pourchaire will no longer drive for Arrow McLaren in IndyCar. His contract is out the door. And
Let's see, Arrow McLaren of the 2024 season and beyond. So they will just drop in this season? Question mark.
And in comes Nolan Siegel, who was the hero of Bump Day this year at the Indianapolis 500 and is just coming off a victory in LMP2 at the 24 Hours of Le Mans. For the remainder of the year, as you can see in this tweet, Nolan Siegel has signed a multi-year contract with Arrow McLaren. A shocker, I would say, at least at this point in the year. Now, we'll certainly talk about the whys and hows that Nolan Siegel was on McLaren's radar. You may know some of them if you were paying attention during the month of May at Indianapolis, and even if you were paying attention to who he's been driving for in the World Endurance Championship, because a lot of puzzle pieces make sense for this move when you can kind of piece them together. I think the shocking part of all of this is that the Formula 2 champion and a driver who has been so highly touted in the paddock, not only just the paddock, not only just with the fan base, but within his own team, Teo Pourchaire, who by all accounts has done everything right,
yes,
has made his team
One
adore
more fish
him,
for the collection.
And the team meaning the folks
Light
who are
blue,
working on his
yellow,
car week in,
fish.
week out. He has earned respect from everyone but some folks who love Agustin Canapino on the internet. I'm going to refrain from saying Argentinians because I do agree with the criticism that a blanket statement that it's only Argentinians sending hate, I think, is wrong. So I'm going to say I'm not going to do that anymore. And I'll just say folks who support Agustin Canapino
that most likely are from Argentina.
Perhaps a little too strongly on the internet, sent hate his way. The Arrow McLaren team, across the board, support for Teo Pourchaire.
Until they until they removed him.
And he only got one event more. This is a shocker, but maybe it's not, because there have been a lot of driver moves like this, and we'll go over the history of the number 6 car at McLaren in this video and the tumultuous history of that, particularly in the last 12 months, because this has been one of the oddest and craziest shuffling of drivers that I've seen.
Yeah, but will Pourchaire still be in
many a year for a car and a seat and a team that is as high a caliber as this? And I guess we'll talk about the merits of doing that as much as they are. Although, again, on paper, there's a commitment here to Nolan Siegel, but there was also a commitment to Théo Pourchaire. So much so that while this tweet has been deleted now, I can confirm that it was on his Twitter, and archiving it is our pal and DL500 member. Thank you to all the DL500 club members out there. NASCAR man, who archived this tweet from only a day ago from Théo Pourchaire. It says, "Man, I can't believe I'm going to race at the legendary Laguna Seca this weekend. Can't wait to be there for the Grand Prix of Monterey." Now, this could have been a political tweet, for sure, to set the expectation that he's going to be there, with him knowing that he wasn't going to be there. Sure, I could believe that, but I have a suspicion that Théo Pourchaire believed that he was going to be racing in Laguna Seca this weekend, and this decision was made very late. And this comes on the heels. I mean, it was not that long ago. This was only... I was there. This was announced in the month of May. Théo Pourchaire... Arrow McLaren confirms that Théo Pourchaire, for the remainder of the 2024 NTT IndyCar Series...
Like, the fuck is this?
...season, absent the Indy 500. That was from May 9th, 2024. I believe that was the day before all of the stuff for the Grand Prix of Indianapolis kicked off. And we are just over a month and 9 days from the time that this announcement was made to the point where Théo Pourchaire is no longer driving for Arrow McLaren. And when this came across my desk this morning, I had a couple of questions, right? The first thing I asked was, okay, Nolan's in. Who's he replacing? When the answer was Théo Pourchaire, I said, okay, is McLaren trying to hang on to Théo Pourchaire? Because at least Alexander Rossi is in a contract year with them. There's questions about whether or not he will be staying. There's all sorts of question marks about the Arrow McLaren team. So I said, maybe Nolan Siegel's coming in to warm this seat, and then maybe Théo and Nolan will be driving for the team next year. But that is not the case. Théo Pourchaire is totally out. In fact, I believe it was Racer.com, Marshall Pruitt writing the article, that said that Théo has already been contacted by 3 other IndyCar teams for his services. Now, exactly who those are or when those contracts may be signed, sealed, and delivered, we have yet to find out. I wouldn't be surprised in the least bit if one of those teams was Chip Ganassi Racing, considering the pettiness of those two organizations over the last couple of years. It's been a wild ride between Arrow McLaren and Chip Ganassi Racing. So there's a whole lot of things to talk about here, and I don't even know where to begin. I've written some notes.
Yeah, what I want to know, why did Pourchaire get removed? Where will Pourchaire now go? And have Pourchaire even said anything? And what have this new guy done to deserve the seat? So much so someone else lost their seat. There's stuff I would wanna know. Let's see, we need to... I wanna see... Yep, go away. Yeah, so let's see.
We're just going to start rolling. So we'll talk about Nolan Siegel first.
Nice.
So a few details to go over. He is no longer competing in the Indy Next by Firestone series. He is done in that series for the remainder of the year. His replacement is Christian Brooks, who will do double duty in USF or Indy Pro 2000. So you have double duty for Christian Brooks. He's going to finish up the Indy Next by Firestone series with hopes of getting into that series next year. And by the way, the TV deal, I was working a go-kart race this weekend. There were several people involved in USF as well as Indy Lights on site at that event. And I can just tell you from what I heard from those people, they are very excited about that TV deal because they think they can sell actual sponsorships now for that series. So the quality of driving in that series might even go further up next year. Great for the feeder series, great for the ladder system. But Christian Brooks is in for the rest of the season. in Indy Next. Nolan Siegel had been rumored,
One
in
more fish
fact,
for the collection.
that he was going to finish
Nope. Oh, fuck me. This scared me so much. No, go away, Ad. We don't need you. Oh my god, that scared me so much. And also, Doritos, fuck me, it's not anything good. Okay, one more. But we can skip it. Go back.
In Road America. Now, what's very interesting about how this all has gone down is, if you will remember, Augustine Canapino stepped away for whatever reason. They claimed it was a mental health break. There was, I believe it was an article from motorsport.com. The author, I believe, was Joey Barnes. That was an exclusive interview with Brad Hollinger that essentially said, look, man, Augustine was looking at too many mean tweets, and we felt like we had to get him out of the car, and they did. And Nolan Siegel literally pulled his Indy Next car into the pits, got out, sacrificed the weekend to jump in
One more fish for the
to
collision.
the number 78
Light
Indy
blue
car
cyan.
and run at Elkhart Lake.
And
Now, there had been a
or
rumor
cyan soundtrack.
that was said to me by people who certainly knew what they were talking about. And other people heard this too, that Nolan Siegel potentially could have run the rest of the season for Juncos Hollinger. Now, this is where we get into rumor and speculation territory, so I won't get too far into the weeds. But if that is to be believed, and I believe the people that told me that at least that was a possibility. And considering the McLaren Juncos split that happened the same weekend involving Teo Pourchaire and Augustine Canapino, one of those drivers is not returning to Laguna Seca, and one of them is. And who would have bet on Augustine Canapino being the one of the two that would be racing in Laguna Seca last week? I wouldn't have bet on that. I wouldn't have bet on that one single bit. But this is the reality we're living in. But suffice it to say, Nolan Siegel finishing the season now. I hate to harp on this point, but I suppose I will. What?
Yeah. Now I wanna know. Pourchaire, where will he go?
Kind of a contract did Teo Pourchaire sign with McLaren? And is there any recourse that he could have for this sudden loss of his seat? Because, quite frankly, while Teo didn't set the world on fire, he didn't have enough races to really judge him to a point where I think he would have had any kind of a performance.
And for me, let's see. No, I didn't remove anything. No, for me, it looked like Teo Pourchaire did somewhat good. He succeeded to be up there. He got into fast 12, I believe, and was close to fast 6, so I don't understand why they didn't want him.
Clause in his contract to get rid of him. So, did he not actually sign a full season deal with Arrow McLaren in May? Was that just announced? Was it actually a race-by-race deal? And if he does have a contract, what does that mean going forward for Teo Pourchaire?
Yeah, what
I
will
suppose
happen?
the other question, logical explanation could be, did Nolan and his backers buy out Teo's contract? That's a possibility too. Although, again, we won't know until any potential legal filings would be filed.
True.
But I have a lot of questions about
collection.
the contractual situation and what actually went down to get Nolan Siegel into the seat and Teo Pourchaire out of the seat. Now, with Nolan Siegel, I mentioned his victory in the LMP2 class at the 24 Hours of Le Mans just 2 days ago, by the way. Nolan Siegel drives for United Autosport in the World Endurance Championship. And that particular car, United Autosports, the team, is partially owned by Zach Now, that's not totally indicative of who made the decision on Nolan Siegel. And ultimately, of course, Zach did have to sign off on that, right? He's the owner of the team after all, or the team principal, I guess we'll say. And he's obviously on McLaren's radar because he drives for Zach in sports cars, although not under the McLaren badge as of yet. Tony Kanaan is the first person in Papaya who really publicly stood behind Nolan Siegel. If you'll remember back to Bump Day at the Indianapolis 500, who was on the pit box offering support to Nolan Siegel? Tony Kanaan. He did so in his McLaren uniform, very publicly, talked to NBC live that he believed in Nolan Siegel and thought the world of him at the time. So I would not be surprised to find out that this was very much a Tony Kanaan decision. Now, what Tony Kanaan didn't see in Théo Pourchaire versus what he sees in Nolan Siegel, not sure yet. I think Nolan Siegel is certainly deserving of this opportunity. Don't get that twisted.
Fuck me.
I think Nolan's going to perform very well if he's given the opportunity to perform well,
probably.
of course. I just feel that Théo Pourchaire wasn't given the opportunity. He didn't have enough races, simply put. And he had a fantastic race at Long Beach. Least we forget, it wasn't that long ago. It was not that long ago that Théo Pourchaire was impressing everybody. It's very surprising. I suppose another thing to bring up is I won't say the fact, but you might have seen on Twitter Tony Donahue bring up that there's a possibility that Arrow could leave McLaren at the end of this year. That has been long rumored. I think I first heard about that in the winter of this year.
Leave
I think it's a possibility, but I'm not prepared to say that that's something that's 100% going to happen. And McLaren is one of the most sponsorship flush teams in the sport, right? And they certainly have the pitch deck to be able to bring sponsorship back into the team for sure. I think the one thing to consider, though, is that Nolan Siegel potentially does bring money into the situation. His parents are very well off. That's, par for the course for a lot of drivers coming up through the ladder system these days. And again, until we know the details, specific details of the contract, or if anybody actually speaks on that, is Nolan bringing money to the team? I wouldn't totally throw out the possibility. And if a big sponsor is indeed leaving McLaren, which certainly is not factual at this time, but it's certainly something that has been spoken about in hushed tones in the paddock for the last 8 months, I think that's a possibility too, that there is an incentive not only from a driving talent standpoint, but also from a monetary standpoint. The 6-car situation has been absolutely crazy, and I think some people will draw, when I mention cash, some people will probably draw comparisons to David Malukas, but I can tell you this: David Malukas didn't bring a dime to Arrow McLaren. That was a paid seat for David Malukas. He was paid to be there, although of course he only ran, I believe, one test for Arrow McLaren. That was a fall hybrid test. So really never drove the car, obviously got injured, and now is finishing the season for Meyer Shank Racing. Least we forget Felix Rosenquist in the contract limbo he was in for 2 years. Then you had Callum Ilott, who raced for them at the Indianapolis 500 and filled in for them at the Indy 500 test.
So we can say the seat have been in some weird places. Come on. Fucking dolphin, ruin everything. So hopefully we get some news where Théo Pourchaire will go. Because this
in April,
is so weird. And
of course Théo Pourchaire jumped into the car after Callum took the first start of the season at St. Pete. It's amazing to see, and of course there's a long list of drivers if you go even further back that have been in and out of the 6-car over the years. And now Nolan Siegel is the next driver on that list.
Let's see how long he will stay in that
I think
seat.
he will do well. Don't get me wrong. Don't get it twisted. I'll say that again. I think Nolan Siegel will do very well. I think he's going to take this opportunity.
Yeah, but will he then leave for a better team?
I'll say it. I trust Tony Kanaan's driver talent ability, right? Driver talent, scouting ability. I trust Tony Kanaan when he says that this is going to be something, when he backs a guy and is prepared to put him in a seat on the team, ready to go. It's a bad situation for Théo Pourchaire, but I think there are seats that would be available to him should he want to continue in IndyCar, and I hope he does, because I do think
And what team's
he's
that
got a
at?
future as well. Certainly going to be a difficult PR day in the land of Arrow McLaren. It's, you know, I feel like they're used to it at this point, unfortunately, but it's certainly, you know, they're certainly not doing themselves any favors with announcements
True.
like this, and the turbulent nature of bringing drivers in and out of the team. If you're looking for performance, at some point you're going to have to commit to 3 drivers and stick with them for 2 or 3 or 4 years. You know, it's no surprise to me that Pato O'Ward is the most consistent performer on that team because he's been with them since 2020. It just makes a lot of sense. So hopefully Nolan has a long and prosperous career with Arrow McLaren, and they stick with this decision.
For 1 year.
I suppose that's my thoughts on it so far. I'm sure you guys have already let me know your thoughts down in the comments section below. Yet another shocker out of the IndyCar mid-season silly season, and we probably shouldn't be surprised or shocked that it involves Arrow McLaren, but alas, I'm a little bit shocked. We'll see you in the next
Man, who is
video.
not shocked?
An online tutorial.
Oh shit, go away. I mean, he Man, Pourchaire didn't get the full season. That's mean. But I wonder what team he will... What team could he go to? Let's see, if we go to... I want to see... Can we get... standings? I want to see champion. Okay, and who cares? I wanna have. Wanna see the teams. Drivers. God damn it. So Shipkan and Sipansky. Let's see, Andretti will probably not take him. And McLaren, he will. I mean, he's losing the seat for McLaren. Come on. See, May Shank. Huh. Add Carpenter. Ray Hall. No, Pourchaire, you will not stay for long. Yeah, but Man, I don't know anything what team he could join. At least I know the top teams, like Chip Ganassi, Team Penske, Andretti and McLaren will probably not be one of them. So everything under that I would say can happen. Go back. And see. Have anything new come up? Probably not. So let's go back to Formula 1. Red Bull's triple header, Antonelli F1 debut, 2024 Spanish Grand Prix. Oh, fucking already debut for Antonelli? Could that really happen? A debut for Antonelli already? Man, the IndyCar fans can't be happy with that. Could have hurt didn't get any like driver license because the points, and then Antonelli apparently can get an driver license. Nope, not a new fish for the collection. How many more can we? 6, 12, at least 14. 14, and then we have hopefully 1600, but probably not. Let's see. Okay, that's done. Can we get one more fish for the collection? But yeah, let's see. And that will not be funny for Logan Sargent either. Man, what the wonder what the news comes from. Or have they maybe done some clickbaiting with Antonelli? Hey, let's see.
Did Montreal really happen, or was it just a dream? Unpredictable weather?
A dream for Mercedes, because Mercedes will never be that good at any time this season.
Sensational overtakes, strategy battles, a three-way fight for victory. There was even a time when Haas looked on course for a serious points haul. Formula 1 is serving up some spectacular racing in 2024, and there's plenty more to come as we now go into a triple header starting with this weekend's Spanish Grand Prix. Welcome to F1 Nation with me, Tom Clarkson, and my teammate this week is 1996 world champion and winner of the Spanish Grand Prix back in 1994, Damon Hill. Damon, how are you?
I'm very well, thanks, Tom, and I did enjoy the Canadian Grand Prix. What a great race, what fun, as always, absolutely brilliant. Little sprinkling of rain, not torrential deluge as they had in the Le Mans race over the weekend, just enough to make it tricky to judge. And you said it was a dream. It was a dream, but it was a nightmare for Ferrari. So it wasn't a dream for everyone. And also, Mercedes found pace, they found some speed. So, you know, bodes well for what's coming up.
I do remember on the preview show, you telling everybody that you thought it would be a McLaren 1-2. Okay, you got the 2 with Lando. I suppose there were moments in that race when McLaren had the fastest car, so you weren't totally wrong.
If I was totally wrong, I definitely would go and look for a different job. But I think I got close. It was a good race, you know, from their point of view. I think they were looking very, very strong, particularly at the beginning of the race. It looked like Lando had it all.
Yeah, and Logan Sargent ruined everything. Man, what? The race could have been so much better if Logan Sargent didn't crash. Because then it would have been racing until they start raining. Do you get do you go in to change tires to be maybe fast in the rain, or will it end up being slower? So staying out was the best idea, and we never got that. Or we got the somewhat. The teams like I think Gasly did that, maybe Tsunoda did that, or Ricciardo. And some people did that, and I end up being somewhat good. Because they didn't, people, I mean the other people lost to go into the pit, and they didn't get to catch up enough to get catch up. But yeah,
really under control, and then he got the payback from Miami, didn't he? Really, with the safety car, and he got caught out with that. It could have all been so
thanks
different.
to Lewis
Could it
Sargent.
be? But look, it's time for a very exciting triple header with Spain, Austria and Silverstone coming up. Extra points are going to be up for grabs in Austria, of course, because the Red Bull Ring will host the third F1 sprint of the season. But Damon, before we break it down team by team, I did want to ask, how do you think the championship's going to look after the British Grand Prix, after this triple header? Do you see
Max leading.
Red Bull extending their advantage?
Yes.
Do you see everyone closing the gap a little bit?
Yeah, I think they're definitely closing the gap. Whether they can
Yeah, closing the gap. Yeah, fuck that, man. The talking point.
get much further ahead than where they are is going to be the big, $64 million question, because Max has got an advantage. He's got a points advantage already, and if all things are equal, in other words, if his car is as good as everyone else is, he's going to win as many races as they are, because he's brilliant. So I don't know. I think he could maintain this advantage, but strange things happen in our sport, don't they? And I think when he's got more
people believe in Mercedes. That's a strange thing.
people attacking him, which it seems to be the case. Let's say Mercedes have found a solution.
They
and
haven't.
They perform well in Barcelona, which is a real test of your aerodynamics, which is a place where we think that the Red Bull is going to smash everyone. If McLaren are in the mix, if Ferrari are in the mix, if Mercedes are in the mix, then
Ferrari, McLaren will, Mercedes no.
Max has got a bit of a problem on his hands. He's got more than just one person to worry about. So that could
And hopefully Perez will be good now.
rob him of quite a lot of points. But whether, there's so many people squabbling over the other points, they can mount a campaign against him to bring him down, I think that's probably unlikely.
Red Bull are 49 points clear of Ferrari in the constructor standings, and Max is 56 ahead of Charles Leclerc. And for me, I think the next three races do look more Red Bull territory than the last three races, certainly. So last two races, think Monaco, think Montreal, curbs, bumps. We know that the Red Bull doesn't like that, whereas we're now heading back to what you might call Red Bull territory, right? Barcelona is a fast racetrack, made faster last year when we're now not using that chicane at the end of the lap. We've got those two fast corners to end the lap, and you're not going near the curbs in Barcelona, so I see it slightly ominous that I think Max, he won all three of these races last year, and he starts
One more
for
fish
me
for the collection.
as favourite for all three this time.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I think that he's going to be happier with these tracks coming up, as he mentioned on the radio in Canada. I can't go near the curbs. I can't touch the curbs. Well, you need to in Canada, but with the extra speed and the extra downforce of the tracks coming up, that won't bother him at all. The car will have so much load on it, it won't be bothered. And also the curbs are different. They're not the same kind of challenge in Austria even. Austria, they're pretty flat. In fact, they usually run so far off the track that they get track penalties or track limit penalties, so they can easily use the curbs in Austria, Silverstone and Barcelona.
We'll come on to Austria perhaps in a little bit, but there are going to be new track limits enforcements there to stop people running wide. But also, Damon, Max has won 2 races this year where he had anything but the fastest car. Look at Imola. He wasn't the fastest car that weekend, and yet he somehow dragged that performance out to win. And I think you can say the
Nothing that Mercedes will be doing this year.
same in Montreal.
One more
Lando
fish for the
Norris said
collection.
after the race in Montreal, we should have won today, and we didn't. And it seems to me that the combination of Max doing the job in the cockpit and Red Bull very rarely make mistakes on the pit wall as well. They're still such a good racing team with a capital R.
Yeah, where is Mercedes in all this talk? Oh, they
really
not even
understand the
mentioned.
game, and so that combination is devastatingly effective still.
They're really on top of everything. They're like the SAS, really, aren't they? You know, when you go into battle with them, you've got to have your wits about you because they're quick as a flash, and they see it coming, they anticipate, and they're very, very effective as a race team.
The one question mark that I hold over them is their decision to commit 2 more years to...
I mean, like, I don't know how true this is, but it's at least a really good explanation. They wanna keep Max Verstappen in Red Bull. How do they do that? By maybe doing what Max Verstappen wants. Fuck off! God damn it. But yeah, to keep Max Verstappen, they maybe need to keep Perez. If they want Max Verstappen in the car, Perez need to be in the second car.
Sergio Perez so early in this season, because everything about his performance in recent races doesn't stack up to a driver deserving one of the best cars in Formula One. You know, what did he do? He qualified 16th in Canada. The team actually suggested that he drive back to the pits with that damaged rear wing, and he's now carrying a 3-place grid penalty into the Spanish Grand Prix, which is going to make his chances there very difficult because it's invariably quite hard to overtake in Barcelona. So I don't know, what do you make of them signing Perez when you've got the likes of Liam Lawson around? Even Yuki Tsunoda, I think, is doing a great job. Why sign Perez so early in the season?
Like I said, can be 100%. Max Verstappen, to keep Max Verstappen in Red Bull, Perez need to be in the second car.
I would have left him to prove himself a bit more.
When you look at the options of who you'd put in, okay, he's not somebody who is so hot that you need him to make your team a winning team, because he clearly is not as good as Max. Max, they want to keep at the team, and he's happy with Checo. Checo just needs to be second to Max, really.
Damon, that is the point. He's not finishing second to Max.
I understand that, yeah. But the thing is, it's getting so close now. I mean, look at the difference in lap times. They're just insanely small gaps. In fact, sometimes they're no gap at all. So we saw in Canada that the qualifying gap between first and second was nothing, not measurable. So the gaps are tiny. That's why the position for him has suffered on the grid, because there's more people who can jump in that gap. So he does need to up his game, but of course you don't want somebody who can out-qualify Max. Well, Max doesn't want anyone who out-qualify Max. So
do you think there's anyone on the grid who would out-qualify Max, though? I don't think there is right now.
You think so? Okay, I'm gonna throw a few possibles in there. I'm gonna say Lewis has lost a tiny bit of edge this year. I'm not saying he couldn't get it back again if he was in competition with Max. Fernando, similarly, I think maybe as you get older, the real sharp speed seems to go. Maybe George, maybe Charles. There are still some candidates out there who could surprise him and put pressure on him that he wouldn't enjoy. But then there's obviously those people are nailed on somewhere, so they're not going to be coming to Red Bull.
But I stand by Yuki, Liam Lawson. I think they would be doing a better job than Sergio.
They can do a better job. Would they? That's the question. And you know how Perez is, so why not just keep him?
Perez right now.
And Liam Lawson and Yuki Tsunoda can be in vissa kanske probably Formula 1 team if Daniel Ricciardo finally gets
But what
kicked.
I would have done if I was the senior management is, okay, when the car is difficult to drive, it seems Max is able to get more out of it, and Montreal is a difficult track for that car, Monaco is a difficult track for that car, whereas we're now going back, as I said earlier, to Red Bull territory. Medium to high speed tracks.
Yeah, if it's bad on these tracks, then you can start question some stuff more.
Off the curbs by and large. So it should come back into the realms of being an easier car to drive. Therefore, Checo should be closer to Max at these next few races. And
hopefully he is also
that. Waited until after this triple header at least to see what he can do in the car.
If you want Max to stick with you and be confident that he knows what the future is going to be like, then maybe signing Checo is a way of saying to him, look, this is what the future is going to look like. You're not going to have a surprise new super quick teammate to worry about who might take a lot of attention. If you're Liam Lawson, you have to establish yourself. You can't just come into F1 and be a dutiful number 2. So he'll be a threat. Yuki has done an amazing job. I don't know if he could take the pressure of being the sharp end of Red Bull. I don't know.
The Montreal spec Daniel Ricciardo would have done a great job for that team.
Possibly, yes. But he's got to do more, as we know. I mean, he got heavily criticised, didn't he, famously by Jacques in Canada. And Jacques will say that the king has got no clothes on. He's the kid who will say the thing that everyone else is frightened of saying. He did call him out. You know, he called out, well, where is this performance? Where's the justification for someone staying in F1 with Daniel?
Yeah, let's see. Will Daniel Ricciardo keep being bad, or will he finally be good?
And we've all been thinking it, and he's been thinking it. But I think, you know, it was a little bit hard to blurt it out quite as brutally as that. But that's Jacques, and I know Jacques very well, and I get on very well with him. But he will say what everyone else is frightened of saying. And the thing is, you could say the same about Checo. He just needs to step it up a bit. But
One more fish.
I don't know how you do it, but yeah,
sign.
he knows. He's had a really rough ride recently, hasn't he? He's had some real horrors the last couple of races.
I thought we might get a bit of a bump in performance from him, you know, safe in the knowledge that he's got the 2-year contract in his back pocket. I thought we would see a better performance from him as a result when we got to Montreal, but that wasn't the case. And it's going to be, as I said, difficult again in Barcelona because of that grid penalty, but we shall see.
Also, this fucking music. What the fuck is this?
Now look, why don't we move on to McLaren and Ferrari? McLaren have now beaten Ferrari in 4 of the last 5 races as they continue to be the most consistent team so far this season. They've scored 116 points in the last 4 rounds, more than anyone else, and Lando Norris is the only driver to have taken points from every Grand Prix this year. Ferrari's double DNF in Montreal means they're now just 40 ahead of McLaren in the constructors' standings. So, Damon, what lessons do you think McLaren need to learn from Canada to take the next step to become regular winners?
Don't get holed up by the safety car, which, I mean, I have to say that was a risk, staying out just that little bit longer. Maybe tactically that was something they would have will revisit, but I think they're heading in the right direction, so they're doing the right things. The big test, I think, will be someone like Barcelona for them. It's a pure aerodynamic high load track, you know, so tyre deg is much more brutal in the car in a different way to the last one track we've been to. Let's say Miami, even, you know, this is a circuit that eats tyres. Your left front goes, because it's so loaded, having to do all the work for so long in the lap. So we shall see where they are after that one.
Well, let's not forget, Damon, let's not forget that Lando Norris qualified 3rd at Barcelona last year, and then he lost his front wing, or a bit of his front wing, on the opening lap at turn 2-3 when he hit the back of Lewis Hamilton. So the car was quick over 1 lap last year, and we weren't able to see what it could do in the race because, as I say, he was then at the back. What we saw in Canada was Red Bull at the top of their game, McLaren still learning, still just a little bit raw, I felt. I don't know,
no,
I just feel that Red Bull would have pitted him where he ended up doing another lap behind the safety car. That's my gut feeling, and I think if we had that race again, you know, they would do that. They would have learned from that. Just be I think they'll be more aggressive strategically.
You only learn these things when you run at the front regularly. So if you've been running in the midfield, the spotlight isn't quite so intense. So
one more.
You know, you're going to get increased criticism for every little potential loss of performance or a tactical mistake. So they've got to deal with that as well. And then it gets to the point where eventually you're expected to win, and if you don't win, then something, you know, the world has fallen down. There's a flip side to being better in any sport, is that you can only lose once you're at the sharp end.
And there was a very, I thought, very interesting change in Lando's outlook between when he first got out of the car in Canada to when he actually arrived in the press conference to speak to me and the rest
No,
of
it
the
didn't
media.
remember that.
In that initially he was like, okay, great race, really enjoyed it, we finished second, brilliant, aren't we doing well? To by the time he got to me was, yeah, we should have won that race. And I'm a bit frustrated, actually. It's sort of, it almost took a while for the penny to drop.
Yes, I think that has been, I think, a default position for Lando. I think he knows that it's no good unless you win. And especially if you've had an opportunity and somehow it slipped through your fingers, then you will lament and rue the whatever happened in the race and that meant you came second, because he wants to win. And I think that is the right mindset, that's the right position to be in. If you're satisfied with second, obviously if you're on your way up and you're trying to recover from a setback or lack of performance,
One more
you
fish
get
for the
yourself to
collection.
second place and you can celebrate that. But now they've got to the point where they can have a win. I think that
Yeah, and what can Mercedes have? Also, one more fish for the collection. So we have snooper green, light grey, and clayfish orange, pink. Let's go down. We're going down, down, down. It's a ring of fire. It's a ring of fire. One. No. We want more. Six, seven. Seven more.
he's right to be disappointed.
Damon, tell us about that change in mindset for a driver. Now, I don't want to put words into your mouth, but I'm guessing that when you won that first race in Hungary 1993, it was like, what a result, fantastic. And then you go and win a couple more, and it's just like, brilliant. But then at what point do you actually start saying, no, I want to do this at every race now. I'm not just happy to win occasionally. Was there a moment when the penny dropped for you? Was it in 93? Did it happen later in 94?
Well, I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to take you back to my motorcycling days, Tom, because for a long time I raced and I turned up at an event with a bike and I entered the race, and I had never really thought about how you win. I just literally turned up and went, I'll ride as fast as I can. And I've kind of in my mind always expected to be racing people. And then one day I went down to Brands Hatch and I was in a bit of a strop, a bit more pumped up than usual. And I got off the line and I was leading. And I remember thinking, oh, there's no one to race. There's no one in front of me. Now what do I do?
Man, that must be so weird. Your mind is always fighting with the people, trying to get past people, and now you already on the top. Now what do you do? Who do you fight?
I do. And there's a huge difference. There is an absolutely massive difference.
Is that a conscious thought? Genuinely, you're actually going, what do I do now?
Conscious, suddenly it's a surprise. Suddenly you find yourself, now all these guys in F1 have won. They've won in karts, they've won in all that. They're used to being at the front. But the big one is Formula One. And so once you're at the sharp end, their mentality does change. It has to change. Coming second is no good. It's not what they're there to do. It's no good. And I think a lot of people are comfortable. Well, they make their goal of being in Formula One. You hear it all the time with new drivers, their goal, I made it to Formula One. Did Ayrton Senna say, I'm glad I got to Formula One? No, he didn't. Did Michael Schumacher say, it's great to be here? No, they're there to win. And that is the goal. That's the only reason you should be in Formula One, is to get to the front of the pack and win. The question is whether it's realistic. So you asked me about Hungary. And the question is, can you... when I was in a Brabham, of course, I wasn't going to win, but I still had to try. But when I'm in a Williams, I've really got to deliver the full potential of that car, which means winning.
Yeah, I feel we're seeing a change in outlook from Lando now. He knows that winning is the only thing that matters, and
Rather, he have won now, so he don't think about getting the first win. He can now think out, let's get more wins on his stats.
that car's been improving steadily from Austria last year, and he
While
will be
Mercedes are still in Mercedes.
going into the Spanish Grand Prix this weekend, aware that Red Bull are going to be quick, but his only mindset is and has to be, I'm going to win this Grand Prix.
Yes, it will be. Yeah, but they're very good. I mean, they understand the psychology. They've had so much coaching and stuff, but quite apart from their own instinctive competitiveness, they will understand that you can't get ahead of yourself. You go and do the job better than you've done it before, the previous race, and you turn up and you to some degree you have to let what happens happen. But I think with Lando, he's always been dissatisfied with being just someone who makes up the numbers, and Oscar as well. I mean, I can see that in Oscar. He's not someone who's going to be content making up the numbers. So all the good guys, they know the real goal, the real point of being there is to be the person at the front.
Well,
True.
Damon, what are Ferrari going to be thinking? They obviously had a torrid time in Montreal, neither car making it.
I mean, Charles Leclerc will come back and do good. Carlos Sainz will not.
Flag. The car wasn't competitive at any point, really, by their recent standards. And so what happens? We go to Barcelona. You know, Charles Leclerc qualified on pole for the Spanish Grand Prix in 2022. He qualified 19th last year. So the yo-yo effect, I don't know what to expect from them, quite frankly, going into Spain, and it's Carlos Sainz's home race. I mean, what do you think?
Yeah, that's a good point, actually. Carlos he's been unceremoniously uninvited to
the
Ferrari.
collection.
Now he's going to Spain, so he'll be very keen, I think, to get the maximum result he can there.
Green,
but
fish.
we don't know what to expect, and it's a head scratcher, isn't it? Ferrari up and down. They are unpredictable. And why were they slow in Canada? I still can't work it out. I mean, they shouldn't have been that far off the pace, but they were nowhere.
What will be perplexing them is just their genuine lack of pace at a track that should have suited them, because it's all about traction out of slow corners in Montreal is an important factor, and that's where the Ferrari's really good. Yeah, we're going to a track now.
Yeah, but one practice, rain, it's like everything that can ruin your setup happened.
Which is all about medium and high speed.
One more fish for the
and
collection.
let's not forget that wind the clock back a couple of years, they were suffering from
line.
graining a lot, and as you said earlier, Barcelona is tough on that front left tyre in particular. So I don't know. I feel that it's going to be a tough weekend for Ferrari. I think in my
if it's a tough weekend for Ferrari, then it must be a tough weekend for Mercedes.
gut, but I think we can be more confident about the pace of Mercedes, because
Copium.
they had their best weekend of the season in Canada, with George Russell taking pole position and then securing the team's first podium of 2024 with P3 in the race. Look, before we get on to their chances in Spain specifically, I did want to discuss with you something that technical director James Allison said in Montreal. Funnily enough,
They will not even get a podium in Spain.
This week's episode of F1 Beyond the Grid, because I asked him how their new front wing has improved the car's performance, and this is what he said.
The thing that has bedeviled us from the start of the year was that you could get the car okay in a slow corner, you could get it quite decent in a fast corner, but you couldn't get it good in both at the same time. What has changed in the last 2-3 races is that we've modified the car in such a way as it actually has a reasonable high to low speed balance and a reasonable through corner balance. It just means that the driver can trust both the front and rear axle in a fast corner and a slow corner, and can trust it.
So the car is better, but it can still be slow and bad versus other cars.
From when he hits the brakes at the beginning of the corner all the way through the apex and out the other side, that balance is crucial to a driver, that they know whether the car is going to understeer or oversteer, and that it's going to follow the trajectory they're asking.
Was it one eureka moment where someone came to you and said, James, this is what we need to do, or was it more incremental gains?
This is more of a, oh God, how could we have been so dumb type moment where you see the path forward and you should have seen it sooner.
George Russell, after his pole position in Canada, was saying, we found the path forward now. So do you think you can be competitive at every racetrack going forward?
I think that we definitely can get the car this season to be properly competitive and to fear no...
To what? Get the podiums? To just be number 4? Yeah, what is the upgrade?
Tracks. I think that the specifics of this circuit might make our fans think prematurely that we're already there. This circuit has quite a low range of cornering speeds in it, and it tests the car maybe slightly less severely than some of the others that are coming up. And while I'm pretty sure that we will make a good showing in the nearby future races, I'd be surprised.
And the good show is being just number 4. Would you actually be better than McLaren? Ferrari?
If we're on pole at the next one, for example. But I am absolutely certain that we can be as fast as anybody over the coming period.
Damon, fight.
Okay, you can try, but will you? Will you be faster? Probably not.
Talk from James Allison. They've had a few false dawns in the last few years, and those have invariably come at the Spanish Grand Prix, where the car, you know, with those super slim side pods, has been very competitive there. And let's not forget, last year Hamilton finished second, Russell third in Spain. And I feel just
one
James
more
Allison,
fish for the collection.
by the way, I loved his comment. How can we have been so dumb? It's as if the solution has been staring at them in the face all along, is sort of what I read from that comment. But he is so experienced that he wouldn't be talking like that if they weren't going to be good going forward.
It seems to me like they've stumbled on a trick that other people are up to, an opportunity that they perhaps hadn't seen as being as important as it really is. What he was saying there was talking about throughout the range of speeds, because the car is a dynamic thing. The aerodynamics are relatively static unless you can get them to change their characteristics from slow through to medium to fast. Then you've got a different car at different speeds, and that's what he was talking about, is that drivers, they get the confidence now that it's going to do roughly the same thing as the speed increases or decreases, so that they know what sort of beast they're driving. If they found that tweak, that little trick, and they can deliver to the drivers a car that maintains some consistency, then that is a step forward for them. I mean, the front wing on a car, front wings basically, since Benetton, I don't know if you remember Benetton, when Gerhard was driving, they had this huge front wing that it was basically a great big spoon that sort of just sat on the front of the car. And I remember Adrian Reynard, who was very close to the Benetton crew and aerodynamicists, and he was talking about his Formula 3 car and just said it's all about the front wing. That's all he said. He just said, as long as you can get the front wing to work, then the rest of it takes care of itself. So since that time, since that discovery, everything has been about the front wing. And everything else that follows behind the car has to kind of marry up with what the front wing is doing. So these things, you imagine it's the first thing that breaks the air as the car comes along the track. So what it's doing is really critical to the whole aerodynamic performance of the car. So if you've got a change of the front wing, it's quite significant.
Yeah, and it's giving the drivers more confidence, and particularly, it seems, George Russell. He's outqualified Lewis Hamilton, no slouch, at every race bar one this year. Give us your assessment.
One more fish for the collection.
On the job George is doing this year. Has he surprised you?
I mentioned, I think, in a.
Maybe Russell not surprised, but maybe Lewis Hamilton surprised people by being so bad.
Another podcast that I do as well, Tom, with regular broadcasts of Sky. But I did talk about this. I discussed it. That Lewis was expressing disappointment with his performance. He didn't feel like he delivered the best of himself.
No, he didn't
in that particular race. But George did do a fantastic job. But I mean, George is a little bit buoyed up by the fact that he's probably getting a lot more of the attention, necessarily because Lewis is off. So he's trying desperately to establish himself as the kingpin in that team, so that they get confidence in him. And he has been delivering. I think he's still expressing himself in the car, sometimes with slight desperation. I thought some impressive attempts at overtaking, but slightly risky. So those sort of skills are useful when it comes to qualifying, and he got himself on pole position. He's driving very well and giving them some hope, giving the team some hope.
You say that he's getting maybe more of the attention, but another thing that James and I discuss in that Beyond the Grid that is going to be available on your podcast app and the official F1 YouTube channel from Wednesday.
Probably not.
One of the other things we discussed was
to.
The whole Lewis question in terms of how you see out the year, and what Lewis's comments about not being able to out-qualify George for the rest of the year. Remember, he said that in Monaco, and he just says Lewis is getting exactly the same kit as George. And we took one wing to Monaco, and it was Lewis who said, give it to George.
What I'm suggesting is there will be certain things that are to do with next year that Lewis can't be privy to. If Lewis is going, then they really do need to build George up, because he'll be the only known quantity they'll have for the following year. The team have to be all around him, I think, and saying, okay, what do you want? What do you need? You know, Lewis can look after himself. He knows the team well enough. He will deliver. And between now and the end of the season, if that car's any good, then Lewis might even win some races, which would be good. But George...
Yeah, that will, first of all, that will not happen. And that will be good. Why would that be good? When you can have Piastri win his first race, Carlos Sainz wins one more race,
has done a fantastic job to hold his own against a 7-time world champion.
Or even Norris.
One of the other things we discussed is who is going to be George Russell's teammate next year. And Kimi Antonelli seems to be in pole position for that, with Toto Wolff even saying in Montreal, Kimi is our future. And I think we went another step close.
I mean, there's something funny that could happen. You can say it's maybe a future for him to get into Formula 1, but if he is good, also one more fish for the collection, and was it one more? I feel like I saw something. Maybe I didn't. But if Mercedes keep being bad, I mean, like after 2026, if they're still bad, can Antonelli then just leave Mercedes? So the future for Mercedes was just maybe 2 years, and then it's away because the team is so bad.
Sir, the week after Montreal at the World Motorsport Council in Uzbekistan, lovely country by the way, I was there, but the FIA has updated part of its international sporting
Pakistan
code,
is a lovely
adding
country.
a clause that says although the minimum age for a super license to drive in Formula 1 remains 18 years old, special dispensation may be granted to certain drivers to receive one at 17. Now Kimi is 17, he turns 18 at the end of August, so he is now, as of today, free, because he's already got the necessary 40 super license points to qualify for a super license. He could appear at a Grand Prix anytime from now going forward, whether that's just as an FP1 drive, because of course all the teams have to have 2 young drivers in over the course of the year, so maybe he could do that for Williams, he could do it for Mercedes, he could potentially race this year, and there's a lot of chat going around at the moment that could that happen as early as the British Grand Prix, who knows. But I did want to ask you, Damon, I don't know, were you racing bikes by the time you were 17? Because is 17, I know Max Verstappen came in 2015, age 17, but what are your thoughts on being a 17-year-old and being thrown to the wolves, effectively? You're going into a team that can win races in 25. Mercedes should be a team that you can win races with.
They should be.
Remember when you were 6?
But will they? I mean, it would be so funny if they aren't. And then Antonelli will leave the team. Their future done left them.
Tom, 15, 16. You got no fear. The frontal lobe hasn't properly wired up so that the rational reasoning part of the brain isn't fully developed until you're about 25. The problem we have then is what you saw with Max, which was he was doing what he thought he could get away with, and everyone else is going, whoa, mate, you know, there's other people here too. It's not just about you. It's a conceptual problem when you're very young, really, is the issue. It's nothing to do with whether you're capable of driving very fast. It is an issue, I think, to do with maturity and whether or not that person is driving in a way that is taking into account the consequences for those around them as well. You have no fear when you're young.
But everything you've just described applies to the average person, right? Kimi Antonelli surely is purely from a driving point of view above average. Everything we've seen of him in the junior formulas, everything that Mercedes have seen of him driving the 2-year-old car that he has been driving in Barcelona, Silverstone, Austria recently, would suggest that he's not your average 17-year-old, and maybe his development rate is different.
he's probably mature enough to be an excellent tactical driver and great overtaker and all those things that we hope to see from the very best. But I'm just saying, if you're talking about just the age limit, what's the point of bringing in an age limit and then saying, oh, on a special occasion we'll make an exception? Well, there is an age limit. Well, there isn't. What's the point? Just why don't they just judge people on whether or not the FIA think that they're mature enough and capable enough to enter F1? I mean, just I don't know.
Everything I've seen from Kimi Antonelli suggests that he is brilliant. Although I do think you have a valid point. There should be a line which you can't cross. I thought the FIA had decided that was 18, but it is still 18. Only exceptional circumstances can 17-year-olds come in.
And also, it's just 1 month and then he's 18, so it's like, really? Do you care so much about the rules? When after 1 month, it can change.
We're going to be joined now by Aston Martin's performance director, Tom McCulloch. Tom, great to have you on the show. Do want to talk all things
Aston Martin, oh shit. Will we hear Stroll being better than Alonso? Or Stroll being really good?
In Barcelona with you, but Damon and I have just been talking about, the minimum age for drivers to come into Formula One. Now, you've been engineering drivers.
I don't think Stroll have got any podiums for Aston Martin. No, that says something. Lawrence Stroll maybe need to pay more for the team, so he can also get some podiums for the team.
In Formula One for so many years, what's your thought on minimum ages, and what is the difference between a young guy coming in and someone aged 30? Where's the main evolution?
Hello, Tom Damon. I have worked with a lot of young drivers over the years, you're right. And the bottom line is that if a driver is talented and he can gain the experience through testing,
one more fish for the
starting very young and doing lots of seat time before he even gets to Formula One. If the driver's talented enough, if he's smart enough, and he's in the right environment with the right people feeding him the right information at the right time, there's a very good chance he'll do very well.
But do you think the young guys are more aggressive maybe than the 30-year-olds? Are they doing something on track that's different?
Yes.
Well, I work with a 40-year-old who's pretty aggressive and pretty full on. The commitment that Fernando has in the car is all that of a youngster, I suppose. I think in a way you don't know what you don't know when you're young, and you've got that self-confidence. You've come up through the junior categories when you've been, every time you've done a session, a practice session, a qualifying session, you come in, you look at the top of the timesheets because you're always there. The people who get to Formula One are the talented, very capable drivers. And I think one of the hardest things when rookies first come into Formula One is accepting that you're only going to be up there if you've got a car capable of it. And sometimes, they find that a bit hard to deal with. I remember in particular Nico Hülkenberg, when he first started driving, not only did he want to beat his teammate, he thought he could get the car up to the top of the timesheets, but that isn't the reality, And
maybe he can now, when he joins Stake F1 team Kick Sauber, or more or less when they become Audi.
I think that's the bit mentally going to be.
I've got to pick you up on that, TM. Pole position in Brazil 2010, he was right.
We were a little bit fortunate with a few calls there.
One more fish for the collection.
Yeah, at the end of the day, when it's raining intermittent, dry, wet, and Nico went out, and again that was just pure natural talent, getting the tyres working, being first out the pit lane, driving hard, and you put it on pole position when others made mistakes. But back to the the young drivers, I think there's no substitute for talent, and if you've got talent and you're in the right environment, you don't have the experience, but nowadays you can do a lot of things to overcome experience, and as long as you learn from every day at the track, you walk away from the track having learnt, not just driven. You've got to learn what you've done well, then quickly that experience comes.
I totally agree with what you're saying. I mean, you've got quite a lot of change in the sport over the last decade or so, 20 years maybe, since I stopped racing, because the maturity of the guys that come through now is astonishing. I'm always
Or you can say how young they are.
staggered that they're so capable in front of a microphone in television and with the team, and they're totally
First
professional.
Salmon today.
The training is clearly very, very important. The preparation that they get before they get to the hot seat is worth a lot, isn't it, to the team?
It is, and it's also on the engineering side. The level of analysis, reporting, drawing the right information out of the data, presenting it to the drivers in a consumable manner. I often say to the engineers here, we're developing the drivers as well as the car. It doesn't matter how much knowledge and experience they have, whether they're Fernando Alonso or, Jack Crawford, Felipe Drugovich at the other end of the scale. Our job is to educate them so they've got the knowledge to get better and get the most out of the equipment. I even read reports from a few years ago and you think, wow, we've come on so far in the way we analyse and present data. And that's just the whole industry. The margins are so small. And in a way, if you do that right, from the simulator to the testing to the race weekend execution, the drivers are better prepared.
It's a famous golf story.
One more
and
fish for the
it was
collection.
about a
Light
guy,
grey,
and
light
spare him his
spotty.
blushes, but he famously interviewed Tiger Woods when he was very young as an amateur, and he said he's going to turn pro, and the guy says, so what do you want to do? And he says, I want to win all these majors and I want to win all this. And I looked at him sort of wryly and said, I think you've got a lot to learn, son.
Yes.
Anyway. He looked ridiculous after that interview, so you have to, the talent of the young, and some drivers have this self-awareness of their capabilities, don't they? You obviously deal with who's had that and still has it in Fernando Alonso, so you're at the other end of that learning curve. I mean, how much does he give back to you? You obviously re-signed him again because he's just so valuable to the whole team effort.
Fernando's a phenomenal driver. Having watched him from the outside for so many years, you have a preconceived idea a bit of...
Yeah. Will Lance Stroll be mentioned also?
His strengths and weaknesses. We listen to the driver to engineer radio footage during sessions qualifying the race. And you think, wow, he's, I used to say to the strategy people here, he's a driver doing the strategy for the cars in front, the cars behind in his own car. He's got that capacity. He's a prime example of someone who's got a lot of talent, who's gained a lot of knowledge, and he's learned from it. And that's a key. You've got to learn day in, day out what does work, what's order one, what doesn't really matter. Because there's so much in Formula One. I often say the drivers are the best sensors in the car. You can do a whole load of testing, you can do a whole load of running, and at the end of the day you can sit down with him and he will pinpoint the stuff you need to spend a bit more time looking at. He can't do all the analysis, but he'll say, I think that was important, or at least go and look at it because the car was definitely better there. So if it isn't your setup test, maybe it's just the weather, maybe it's the tyres, but he's got that real ability to feel the car and to know what's important.
One more fish for the collection.
He's the most efficient driver I've ever worked with, and by that I mean he will only say what's worth saying in a debrief, and you got to listen.
Driver is the best sensor in the car. I'm going to remember that, Tom. I like you a lot. I liked you before, but I like you even more now.
Okay, Lance
You'd like to have worked with Tom McCulloch.
I think he's made a very valid point. It's very easy as an engineer to look at things purely as an on an experimental lab basis, and the driver is somehow the problem because they don't conform to, numbers and computer programs. But that is a really important insight, and it's great that they can learn from other drivers.
Lance Stroll.
Well, Tom, can we talk about your racing car now? Because both your drivers back in the points in Montreal for the first time since Australia. So, bit of a renaissance going on. Can you continue it at the Spanish Grand Prix this weekend?
Yeah, it was obviously a strong weekend for us. We went into the Montreal weekend having had two difficult weekends when we felt we'd not got the most out of the car, the weekend, the whole lot, and such fine margins. If you don't execute it well, you walk away, especially in the area of the grid we're fighting at the moment, you walk away with not a lot. So when we were approaching the Montreal weekend and the weather was, forecast rain every single day, the jeopardy of a track like that where there's concrete walls at the edge of the track in most places, we thought the DNA of the track would suit the car reasonably well. We sat the drivers down pre-event and said, there's an opportunity here because some people won't get the most out of it, and if we all, whether it's the engineers, the mechanics, the drivers, as a team, if we get the most out of it and play the risk-reward balance sensibly, there's a very good chance we walk away with a decent haul of points. And everyone sits and listens, but you just steering the weekend, during the race weekend, reminding people of that when there are many risk-reward decisions to be made, and it's just execute, try to get the most out of the drivers. To be honest, they didn't put a foot wrong. The car isn't easy to drive at the moment. When you're in those conditions, intermediates, wets, drying line, you put one tyre half off the drying line, as a few drivers did, and you're eating the barriers straight away. And the two of our drivers were exemplary the entire weekend, and you sit in the post-race debrief and there was a sense of satisfaction. It's like, right, that was the game plan, we executed it, we've got 14 points, which is our biggest haul of the year. We were happy with that one.
Well, and have you got the raw performance then?
14 points? That I wanna see. Wait. How do I see? Fuck me. Maybe I should. Wait, if I click schedule and then I click that. Let's see, Aston Martin 6 and 7. Wait, did it say 14 points?
Were exemplary the entire weekend, and you sit in the post-race debrief and there was a sense of satisfaction. It's like, right, that was the game plan, we executed it, we've got 14 points.
Okay, you said 40 points. Man, that's many points. Let's see. Well, that's thanks to Ferrari not being up there. Yeah, 40 points they did get.
Our biggest haul of the year. We were happy with that one.
Well, and have you got the raw performance then to continue with a double points finish in Barcelona? Are you taking upgrades to the next race?
We are.
They can have, but not with Lance Stroll.
Tom, but everyone brings upgrades. We got some mechanical, we got some aero upgrades, but it's a relative game. We have rattled out on average the 5th fastest team this year. At times we've been better, especially in qualifying, where obviously the DRS is quite important. That's one real strength of our car. But if you just analyse the pure race pace, we have been very close to the 5th fastest team. Of late, Mercedes have stepped a little bit closer to the guys at the front, and we keep finding ourselves, as we did the back end of last year and a few times this year, in quite close battles with VCARB. That's a team with a strong car, and we're often fighting them both in qualifying and the race, so we're typically just a bit stronger than them. But it's between now and the end of the year, our job is to close that gap back to the cars in front of us, to be able to have the race pace to fight with them, because at the moment we're just a little bit behind them.
And what are the challenges of Barcelona then? Can we talk about the racetrack? What do you need from your racing car in Barca? I seem to remember it was quite hard for you guys last year in Barca. I remember Alonso having an off in qualifying and never quite recovering.
Yep, remember the first lap in the first qualifying session, it had been raining. He had a snap opening the lap in through the last corner, and then ran through the gravel trap and did a whole load of damage to the underfloor of the car. So he was on the back foot that weekend.
To collect more fishes.
Yeah, Barcelona with a revised layout, one that Damon remembers maybe from the old days, but it's very much high-speed, grip limited dominated. There's less low-speed content now, and there's really only turn 5 and turn 10 which you can sort of categorise as low speed. The rest of it's medium and high speed. The efficiency of the track means you can put on quite a lot of dirty downforce, and the car has to be strong in high-speed corners, because that's ultimately where you're damaging the tyres too, especially we can have some quite high track temperatures. The one thing, the opposite end of the scale really to Canada, which is dominated by low and medium speed corners and there's such a high ride input, while Barcelona is one of the lowest ride input tracks of the year. Both, you don't use a lot of curbs and the actual surface, the tarmac was resurfaced not that long ago and tends to be one of the ones you could run the car relatively stiff in heave and in roll, and the ride doesn't cause you too much of a worry.
Tom, you've had the team has grown with the factory.
And come on, make some machines will be bad on this track. It would be so funny to see. There's so called progress that I've talked about on the 1 week. It's like everything's gone. But yeah, but still Lance Stroll will still make the team having a bad day.
And the rest of it, moving into this big new facility. And are you able to extract all the gains from your factory and your correlations and wind tunnels and all that stuff yet? Or are you still a little bit trying to settle in?
Yeah, that's a really good point. Now we're on that journey at the moment. The new wind tunnel isn't online until the end of this year, early next year. We have a new simulator, state-of-the-art simulator, which again is coming online in the coming months.
Oh shit! So 2025 can be a year when Aston Martin is better than Mercedes. Come on, make it happen.
Workforce, we've grown from 350 to well over 800 now, and the team has grown in all areas, all departments. Still, there's a core group of people who are designing, developing the car. The manufacturing side. There's a lot of areas that have grown. But the core development team has grown, but isn't, vastly different. Sometimes you think you want to be further ahead than you are. Of course, it's, Formula One, you want to be fighting up at the front. The start of last year, we were able to fight for podiums regularly when others were maybe struggling a bit more, and, we were competitive. We aren't quite as competitive at the moment.
Lance Stroll was not part of that fighting for podium. Alonso did that. All the podiums Aston Martin have got is thanks to Sebastian Vettel, and lately 100% Alonso.
But as a team, we're growing, we're learning. Bob Bell joined us recently. He's adding to that experience pool and helping us with the way we're looking not only to getting the most out of the current car and next year's car, but very much the 2026 car. He's obviously been involved a lot with big picture regulation changes.
And then will Honda be in Aston Martin? It will be so amazing if Tsunoda also joins the heavy. Engine for Japan, and a driver from Japan with Alonso. Can it be even greater? One more fish for the collection. And the dasher green brown. Let's see. We go down now.
And his experience is invaluable at the moment, helping steer the technical ship as he is doing now.
Here's an aside, Tom. Beyond the grid this week is James Allison. I asked him at the end of that who he would most like to be
yep, be great. 18, 20, 24, 30, 36, 39. Oh shit. 39. Then we also have 39, 46. Uh, 18, 20, 24, 30, 36, 39, 40, 41, 43, 44, 45, 46. Okay, 46. 15, 62, plus 46 600 8 40 is 600 and 8. So if we just get 2 copies, no, I mean 8 copies, then we over 1,600, but most likely we aren't. But we will be at least tomorrow. We will at least get past 1,600, and that will be nice. And then we need. Let's see. Do we have any 100% one colored? There we have one. There we have one more. One more. No. Nope. And then we need more iron. Oh shit, I still have not fixed this. Glitter cyan. Glitter cyan. Blockfish light gray. Okay, that's boring. Spotty green. God damn it. And to just make sure. Light gray, light gray. Did we have one more? Nope. Okay, -2. 606 -2. Light gray blockfish. Yes. Spotty green. Spotty, 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 spotty. Do we have any spotty here? Spotty red. Spotty green. Okay, let's see. We need all the B fishes for now. And then we remove at least the S fishes for now. And the G. And the C. Okay, now we can start. Lime orange. Lime orange. Here we have lime. Nice. Brown, white. Nice, brown, white. What do we have? Orange, red. Orange, then we have red. Red, lime. God damn it. Then we have orange. Orange Betty. Oh, more. Oh, how I've written it. Betty orange. Yeah, we have Betty orange. Orange Magnanta. Orange Magnanta. Let's see. Did we have no more Betty? That's weird. Man, I feel like it usually be more. Okay, Blockfish. One more Blockfish. More. Then we want. Okay, time for the Blockfish. Light blue, red. Light blue, red. Light blue, red. Light blue. Light blue, yellow. Nice. Light blue, yellow. Then we have red, orange. Blockfish, red. Blockfish, lime. Blockfish, brightly red. Blockfish, red. Blockfish, green. God damn it. There we have, fuck me. Red, orange. At least it was one more for the collection. What do we want? Oh, one more. Yellow, light, gray. Oh, that's boring. Now it's braining. Green, blue. Nope. Red, light, blue. Red, light, blue. Yeah, wait, wasn't red here? There we have red, light, blue. Light blue. Light gray. Nope. Red, light blue. Grey, cyan. Nice. And we are done with... Yeah, and we need to go put the chest over the other chest. We need a sign. Oh, we can. Wait, what? Oh, okay. Grey, cyan, but we want briny. Grey, cyan. Briny, grey, cyan. Briny grey. Brinely. Brinely. Brine Ellie. Brine Ellie, yeah, and grey. We need to black, brown. Time for clayfish. Do we have any more clayfish? We can remove no. S. Do we have one more S? No, yeah, sure. A, B, C, D, E. So we can at least put all the D here. And then we make like this. And then we put back. No. There we have the K. Was that the only K? Then we have the flopper. Gray. Grey pink, grey orange, grey purple, grey black, grey blue, grey magenta, grey green, grey white, grey lime, grey cyan, grey pink, grey cyan, grey lime, no cyan. Nice. Time for the clayfish. Orange pink. There we have orange. Do we have orange pink? Yes, we do. Grey green. Do we have a grey green? We have a grey green. Pink magenta. Pink magenta. Pink magenta. Nice, we don't have pink magenta. Man, I need to get some more woods. Eller, I need to put more woods in the chest. No. Pink magenta. Oh, pink magenta. Just to make sure grey. Where do we have the grey green? What the fuck? Come on, where is the grey green? Oh my god, it's clayfish. Grey green. Oh shit, wait, the fuck was it? Grey? No, there we have grey green. And then we want pink. Pink magenta. Pink. Clayfish. Clayfish. Magenta. Magenta. Yes. Man, can I not do that? Pink, blue, no pink magenta. Okay, now it's time for the flopper, the flopping Lewis Hamilton. Yellow, orange. Yellow, orange. Oh my god, one more. So beautiful. How many? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Only 5 fishes. For now. Yellow, orange. So flopper, yellow. Flopper yellow. Flopper yellow. Flopper yellow. Flopper yellow. Yellow brown, yellow lime, yellow cyan, yellow magenta, yellow white, yellow red, yellow green, yellow purple, yellow pink, and then yellow orange. No orange. Okay, blue, green. Blue, green. Doesn't look like we're on blue, green either. No. Blue, light blue. I didn't see light blue either. Blue, light blue. Nice. One more. Blue, flopper blue. Flopper blue. Man, I need to start playing them in in an order also. Man, this will be hard to finding in the end. Now we can take the dasher. Then we also can pick up this one. And then we can also take up that and the cob, and then we can place down these fishes. Dasher. Oh no, did I? Oh, goddammit, I did a flopper before the dasher. Dasher, magenta, cyan. Magenta, cyan. Magenta. No magenta, cyan. Black, green. Black, green, dasher, black, black, green. Black. Nope, no, black, green. Black, green, gray, dasher, gray, green, gray, green. Dasher gray. Do we have a dasher gray? There we have gray, dasher gray. Gray, green. There we have a gray, green. Black, yellow. Yep, we have the black, yellow also. Boring. Purple. Purple, orange. Not orange, purple, purple, orange. Nice. Nope, purple, orange. Brown, green. God damn it, we have a brown, green also. Oh, brown, black. We have brown, black also. Time to remove more fishes from this. Oh shit. Do we have one more glitter? Nope. Snooper. And then we have Spotty. Then we have Stripey. And then we take the sunstreak off that. Glitter. Black, green. Nice. Black, green. Light blue, cyan. Light gray. We want light blue, cyan. Green, light blue. Yep, we are green, light blue. Cob. Black, red. No copy. Snooper. Green, light gray. Green, light. No green, light gray. Light blue, lime. Light blue, lime. Lime gray. Man, I feel like it's third, fourth time I get a lime gray for Snooper. White, purple. White, purple. Now there we had white, purple. Pink, lime. Yep, we have pink, lime. Light gray, lime. No, light gray, lime. Blue, light gray. Blue, light. Okay. Now we can remove some more stuff. And then we can start with the last fishes. But now, do we have now? 6, 12, 13. Minus 13. Blue, orange. Red, brown. Boring, red, blue. Nice. Magenta, light gray. God damn it. Light blue gray. Light blue gray. Nice. And now it's for the stun streak. Orange light gray. And that we have orange cyan. That we don't have. Purple brown. Nope. Purple brown. No. This one, purple. Really, no purple brown? They were purple. Purple brown. Oh! Purple brown. Nope. One more chest. See, sunstreak purple. Yep, sunstreak purple. Sunstreak purple. Sunstreak purple brown. Sunstreak purple brown. Sunstreak. What the fuck do we have sunstreak? Well, not where do we have sunstreak? Where do we have the sunstreak brown? Fuck do we have sun? God damn it. Wait, the fuck I'm looking for? Purple. Fuck me. Purple. There we have purple. No, sunstreak purple, brown, black, green, cyan, pink, light blue, lime blue, magenta, and no brown. Nice. So many will it be now? 6, 12, 17. 17, 40, 30 to 29. So 100% will get over 600, 1,600 tomorrow. And now back to do this boring stuff. And we pick it, we still have it. And then we can go back to... Oh shit. Yeah, oh my god. Fuck me. The only thing I've done is placing all the fishes down, and now just doing the last part. Looking for the copies. So we can have this on then.
Stuck in a lift with, and he said Bob Bell.
Yeah, I'm not surprised by that. You know, I did not know Bob until he started here a few months ago. But he's a very easy person to get on with, very unassuming, very calm, very knowledgeable.
Yellow, light grey.
I can see exactly why James says that.
Well, look, final one from us, Tom, is just how do you see the pecking order in Spain? Do you see yourselves
green, blue,
where you were in Canada, and do you think it'll be a Red Bull type track?
I do think Red Bull will be strong there. I think Ferrari were the ones who really obviously struggled in Montreal. We were able to be more competitive than really in every session, and that allowed us to score a load of points when they obviously had a tough weekend. I expect them to be back strong. There's nothing to say McLaren, Red Bull, and Ferrari won't all be fighting for the front of the grid. And Mercedes have improved. Let's see at this track. It's a very different track, but for sure they're getting more competitive. We saw some of the lap times Lewis was able to do. It's interesting when you try to do some analysis from Montreal, because at times, as Damon will be able to relate to more than you and I, Tom, but the risk level that you can take on a drying track at one point, when you look at how fast Lewis was, he was just faster than anyone can do, fuel corrected, tyre corrected. But I also think he was pretty pushing hard, and in those kind of tracks that bite quite easy. I think we'll get a better idea of exactly where people rattle out with what looks like a dry weekend in Barcelona.
Yellow.
And just very quickly, which of these 3 tracks coming up, Tom, Barcelona, Austria, Silverstone, do you think you guys will be strongest at?
They have a lot of similarities. There's the high-speed, grid-limited content's important for them all. I think our car, with its DRS switch and its efficiency, will probably favour Silverstone, Austria, and then Barcelona. But saying that, we have some updates for Barcelona, and we'll be trying our best to be as fast as we can be.
How's the boss coping with the stresses of the reality of progress in Formula One? Because it's fair to say that Aston had a fantastic start to last year, and it's faded away, and you're really struggling to re-find your traction again.
Yeah, Lawrence is a very passionate and enthusiastic member of our team. He wants us to be as competitive as we can be. Obviously, loved the start of last season, where at least in position, if you
thanks to Alonso, remember that. Not thanks to not thanks to Lance Stroll. White, purple. White, purple. lime gray. Yeah, this fucking bullshit lime gray again. Oh shit, fucking glitter now. Green light something. Green light blue. Blue orange. Do we have blue orange? We have blue orange. Red brown. Red brown. Magnanta. Don't say it. It was here also. It was Magnanta light gray. And then we have Sunstreak orange light gray. Orange light gray. Okay. Let's see, how many do we have now? 6, 12, 16, 17. So 509, 16. 17. Minus 17. Could that be it? 1 plus 10. Yeah. So we have 1,589 fishes collected now. So let's place them down and yeah, let's see how many fish we can more collect.
The pace relative to the front at the start of last year, we were still a reasonable chunk off Red Bull at the time, but we were able to have some good results. You know, the gap between Red Bull and ourselves has obviously been filled with a few teams. We're fighting to get back into there, but you know, Lawrence is, even though he can be a passionate, should we say, member of the team, he understands that Formula One isn't overnight. He's been in the industry for many years, actually, you know, watching from the sides, but also
yeah, watching his son. You never know how bad he will always be, but he will always be that.
Involved with teams for 30 odd years, you know, and he
knows. Stop it. Okay. Red lime, yellow light gray, green blue, orange pink, gray green, gray green, black yellow, brown green, brown black, green light blue, white purple, lime gray, pink lime, blue orange, red brown, Magnanta light gray, orange light gray. And then we have let's see, 40, 20. So yeah, tomorrow I will need it for getting more buckets. Nice. More. Okay, back to the video.
The level it's at now,
Let's finish
it's
it.
about building the right group of people, giving them the right facilities, giving the right...
Yeah, but still you can't have Lance Stroll as a driver if you want to build up this team to... I mean, sure, you can have Lance Stroll until you make the team champion, container or construction shape fighter. But when the car is good, you can't have Lance Stroll in the other car. You need to remove him. So until then, I don't think Lance Stroll is that seriously. As soon as he's removed his son, then we know. Now it's on.
right leadership and direction and steering the ship to making the car as competitive as possible. And if you sort of look to where we're heading with Honda and the 2026 regulation change, very much our focus at the moment, and we're having to in the background do a lot of work on designing and developing a gearbox and hydraulics and a lot of the suspension that we haven't been designing and manufacturing ourselves. We're into that process now, and you know, you can't do everything and be instantly the best team, and he's aware of that and very supportive, I'd say.
He's not.
Yeah, there's why he's still focusing on having Lance Stroll in the team. He knows that as long as the team is bad, Lance Stroll can sit in the car.
Of the team, he's the owner.
You're very right there.
He might make that distinction, but anyway, I get what you're saying.
100%, you're right.
Tom, great to have you on the show. Thank you so much for your thoughts and your insight. And Damon and I look forward to seeing you in Barcelona.
Lovely. Well, great talking to you both. See you in Spain.
Excellent. Thank you.
Is that one more?
Oh, great to hear from Tom McCulloch. Damon, I'm sensing that you wish he'd been your race engineer back in the day.
One more fish for the collection.
It's a really key point that he made.
Snooper
It's something
or
I
a Cyan.
experienced with Aidan Millward as well. When he's building and working with designers and engineers, you have to give it to a human being at the end. The product has to be used. The tool has to be usable by the driver, and the driver quite often senses stuff that they can't see on data. They quite often say this, but at the end of the day, even if it is just a feeling, you get to give the driver a good feeling. It's no good if the driver is constantly saying to you there's something not right. You just ignore it and say, well, it looks right from my end. That's not really
like Mercedes have done the past 3 years. The data say the car is good, so stop complaining.
The objective is to give it to the guy who can get 100% out of himself or herself, and therefore get 100% out of the car that you have.
Well, you get the feeling from Tom McCulloch, don't you, that Aston are only going to get better during this triple header. He thought Silverstone would be, the team's best chance. And my God, that really is a home race for them. They can walk from the factory to the racetrack, and then Austria, he said, was going to be better. But they need to see how those updates are going to work in
One more
Barcelona.
fish for the collection.
But Damon, it's almost the end of the show. Can we just do a whole bunch of predictions now in terms of who do you think is going to have had the most successful triple header, and who do you think is going to win the Spanish Grand Prix?
I'm going to say that this is going to be a return
Max
of Red
Verstappen.
Bull's dominance window of opportunity. I think that Max and even Checo could be up there. I think their car is going to be better suited to these tracks.
I mean, you can hope that Silverstone will be a Lando Norris win. So he didn't get his first win at Silverstone, but he got his second win.
But it's going to be close, and I don't think it's going to be a total walkover. So
One more fish for the collection.
I think in the race, I think it still could be an opportunity for a number of teams, the usual suspects, McLaren, Ferrari, and also Mercedes. But I mean, it's interesting.
Mercedes, that's such a fucking big copium. Red Bull, McLaren, Ferrari, yes. Mercedes, no. Stop fucking coping.
I'm saying the usual suspects. I'm including McLaren in that now. But there you are. I think that's the state of play we have.
And so this weekend, Spanish Grand Prix, you see a Max Verstappen victory, do you?
You know, I'm not totally as confident as of that prediction as I might have been in the past. So let's leave it at that. But there's a chance. I don't know what Ferrari are going to do. I mean, it could even be that Mercedes actually have really broken through a little glass ceiling that they had there. So it could be that they could spring a surprise.
Yeah, well, and qualifying is going to be so close because now that we no longer have the last chicane in Barcelona and just those 2 quick corners.
I never liked that chicane. That last corner was epic.
Yeah.
The last corner was such a real, you know, you could drill it in there and it just felt fantastic coming out onto the straight.
Well, and present tense, Damon, present tense, because it's now the case, isn't it? That the drivers are taking it in 7th gear or something completely ridiculous now. But Damon, it's now just a 71 second lap, 72 second lap, so it's a really short lap as a result. And we saw 2 cars set an identical lap time in Montreal last time out. In fact, that was a 72 second lap. I think it was a 1:12.000, wasn't it, that took pole position in Montreal, and we could see something very similar this weekend.
No.
The drivers are going to need to bring
Shut the fuck
their
up.
A game. The slightest mistake and you can be back 3 rows on the grid, can't you?
This is where we're at now. It's
Yeah,
a case
slightest
of
mistake, you
getting
go fuck yourself.
as close as possible to your optimum lap. No mistakes. You know, you can't just muscle a time out. You know, you're up against the limitations of the car. It's the closest we've got to this circuit. It's the closest we've got to kind of high-speed oval, I think. You know, it's the constant average speed is quite high, even without lots and lots of straights. It's just you're constantly cornering.
And Damon, given that you asked, my predictions for Spain are...
what's your predictions for Spain, Tom? Sorry, I thought I was
One
the guest,
more
but I'm not.
fish
obviously.
for the collection.
We're both. This is both of our show.
It's our show,
our
Damon.
show.
It's our show. It's our show.
Apologies.
Damon, I think you're right. I think Red Bull, Max, sorry, when I say Red Bull, I mean Max is going to be back up there. Let's not forget that Checo qualified 11th at this racetrack last year. I think Max is going to be back up there. I think Oscar Piastri is going to be right at the sharp end.
You just plug that out because you think it's about time he won a race. That's what are you basing that on?
Well, no, I'm basing that on...
Fucking true! Fucking Tom Clarkson is so fucking retarded.
That I think he's very good. He's very like his manager Mark Webber. He loves fast corners. You've just told me and the listeners that Barcelona is as close to an oval, right?
Yeah.
And I'm thinking this is high-speed corners. This is Oscar Piastri territory. And if the McLaren is good, which we think it will be, then I think Piastri will be challenged.
Peter was so say short corner he's really good at. So do it have any short corners? Then yes.
So I'm going to go a Verstappen win, Piastri second, Lando Norris third. There we are. Another race
Not
completed.
Lewis Hamilton?
Another disappointing performance from our F1 fantasy team, F1 Nation Racing. We did say we could blame Damon if we didn't do well in Canada, because his prediction of a McLaren 1-2 in Montreal inspired us to back fully the Papaya Army and have both Lando Norris and Oscar Piastri in our team. And to be fair to Damon, they did score the majority of our measly 102 points, but with disappointing weekends for Yuki Tsunoda, Alex Albon and Williams, all of whom are in our team as well, we really could have done with both McLarens on the podium at least. And as a result, we've dropped to, you ready for this? P134,185 in the F1 Nation World Championship, which does have a new leader in the form of Raktai Vagan on 2,411 points. They're 21 clear of Ford and Ferrari, with Skipper 123 a further 19 points
one
behind
more fish
in
for the
third.
collection.
I'm quite confident of a double McLaren podium in Barcelona, so
Why
we'll stick with
wrong?
Lando and Oscar, and Tom McCulloch fancied Aston to get stronger throughout the triple header, with Silverstone likely to be their best chance. So we're going to bring in Fernando Alonso for Yuki Tsunoda. Fernando's addition has given us very little left to spend within the cost cap, so we've had to
One more
remove Alex
fish
Albon
for
and
the
replace him with his
collection.
less expensive teammate Logan Sargent. So that's a lineup
Stripey
of
blue
Norris,
pea.
Piastri, Alonso, Ricardo and Sargent, with McLaren
zombie.
and Williams as our constructors. So let's see how we go. And remember, you can join F1 Fantasy at any time. Just go to the official F1 website or app, create your team and join the F1 Nation World Championship 2024 to compete against us and probably beat us and other listeners. And remember, you have until the start of qualifying for the Spanish Grand Prix to make any changes to your team. Good luck. Now, qualifying for the Spanish Grand Prix starts at 4 p.m. CET, with the race at 3 p.m. Check the official F1 website for your local timings, and you can watch all the action on F1 TV. And don't forget that it's also round 3 of F1 Academy this weekend as well. Well, Damon, thank you very much for your time. Thanks to Tom McCulloch as well for his. And as I mentioned earlier, don't forget to check out this week's episode of F1 Beyond the Grid with James Allison on your podcast
I
app
will
and
probably,
the official
because
F1
fuck
YouTube channel. That's from Wednesday. And a reminder that you can be at a race this season as well. To book your seat at the US Grand Prix, the Las Vegas Grand Prix, or another thrilling spectacle on the 2024 calendar, please go to tickets.formula1.com. We'll of course be back next Monday from the Barcelona paddock with our review of the Spanish Grand Prix. But for now, F1 Nation is produced by Formula One and Audio Boom Studio.
And that's done, and let's end it. Go away. And let us place us here. Let's see, we go away. Okay, how many did we collect now? 1,000. Let's write it down. 89. $1,589. 1,589. 1,589. Yes, so 1,850. No. Yeah, 1,589 fishes have been collected. So tomorrow, 100% will be over 1,600, and then I will do some recap content, what the fuck you can call it, to make sure that when we actually get over 1,700, the numbers are right. Would be horrible if it wasn't right. But yeah, so that was some more Formula 1 stuff. Probably tomorrow, or today, it will be more Formula 1 stuff. But